just you and me. Change, yeah, change, can't do it alone. I need some help, y'all. Can't do it alone. Won't get no better.
Welcome to Truth Forums, a forum to discuss truth in the friendly surrounding like we do at home at the kitchen table. I am your host, Dr. Smith. I do have the rights to perform the songs and the notes of the lyrics as licensed by BMI. I'm your host, Dr. Smith. I will lead compelling, relatable, and honest conversation. My guests will range from community leaders and professionals and real people whose stories will touch and inspire you. And I'm sure this story today will touch all of us. We will have discussions around relationships and amazing, triumphant, compelling topics, pop culture that capture the city of Battle Creek and also the nation. If you'd like to be a guest at the kitchen table, you may call us at 616-251-0523. Email us at kingdombuildersworldwide2@gmail.com. Before I introduce my guests, Tracy Cummings and Kara Bowden, I'd like to thank my producers, Tiffany Smith, Ronnie Hoyt, Carl English, Mike Campbell. Facebook Live T2, camera, Shania, and Yvonne Armstrong. Co-host Doug Jones. We are excited about what God is doing for all of us. My vision is to catalyze and energize and bring people together as we come and discuss dialogue. We will eventually find solutions to the madness. This is what they did in Africa. They came around every night and they sat down and they shared stories. Today is storytelling time, and that's what we're going to do. I'm excited to introduce to you both guests, Kara Bowden and Tracy Cummings. All right. Well, this is going to be a very special story. As you all know, we've been dealing with the Joe Bowser case for some time now. And you all have heard from India, you've heard from the dad, you heard from Alexis, you heard from Lexi, you heard from other people, but you haven't really heard too much about Tracy, the mother. And that makes a whole lot of sense. We understand that. So I've been dealing with Tracy. Tracy is an avid member of our church, and she's been doing very well as we continue to work with her. There's been a whole lot of programs that's been taking place in the city of Battle Creek. And I think we have to be conscious of that. You know, we're trying to fix and solve some problems. But if you put yourself in the position of Tracy, every time she turned on the news, she see her son. And I don't think we think about that. So I think there's a sense of being sensitive, or at least communicating. We understand the importance of awareness by putting the word out. So today, we're going to talk about some things. We're going to talk about some events that have occurred in our city, how it has impacted Tracy. And then we're going to talk about a recent shooting that took place early this morning, which was from another member of our church. And the mother is also sitting here today, Kara Bowden. So that's what we're going to discuss today. We're going to talk about some ideas. We want you to come on and share. My co-host, Doug Jones, got the Facebook Live, so he's going to do his very best to try to, listen to what you're saying. I'll try my best to dialogue and respond. So before we do anything else, Doug, I'd like to ask you to come on and introduce yourself again to everybody. And we're going to not really introduce the ladies. We'll just let them talk once we start the conversation.
For those who don't know me, and there's probably very few who don't, but Douglas Jones, native of Battle Creek, son of Roosevelt and Judy Jones, father of Brandon, Ashley, and Micah, grandfather of Nasir and Sky.
All right. So, I want to talk about, first of all, Tracy, how you doing? How are you doing? Everybody been wanting to know how Tracy's doing. How is Tracy Cummings doing at this present moment?
I have my ups and downs. I'm just trying to maintain and trying to take care of myself, but it's been very difficult, and I'm just trying to get through it day by day.
The reason why we're doing this today, this was not planned. We actually had another guest that was scheduled, but I received a phone call. I usually start my morning about 3:30 in the morning, so I received a text call, actually from my baby stepfather and then from the mother, that a young man was shot this morning. Kara, tell us, when you first received that news, what was your first thought or reaction?
Well, I was already up dealing with drama that morning with my daughters, so I was already up, just getting ready to go back to bed, and then I got the call stating my son had been shot. All I can think of is, Tracy going through what she went through, not knowing where he was shot at, what was wrong with him or anything like that.
So what we're going to do is we're going to talk to the community. Community, we are at it again. And I would share with you all what I did in our service as it relates to the son. Gratefully, he was not killed, and he has his crutches and things of that nature. But we're going to talk about that. But let's first talk about some things that I want to hear from the parents, and I want to just see what you think about this. Even my co-host, America. We are free to stockpile weapons. We are free to order ammo online. You can order ammunition online. We are free to, fix up our guns. This is the price we pay for freedom. But the freedom to not tell or to not snitch, I don't think it's the same thing. But I think everybody needs to understand that. We have the freedom to do all those things, but I don't think that freedom to not tell should be in that category. But it's happening every day. And so what I want to do is I want to talk about a few things. If we care, then we should solve problems. The purpose of caring is to solve problems. That's why we care. When you care about something, you want to solve problems. So Tracy, you have been in the media just because of the fact by default that you are the mother, and they continue to show the same clippings over and over and over and over again. Honestly, what's your thought about that?
I really don't watch the news anymore because after it happened, I had to hear a lot of the details on the news. I thought that was unfair about my child being shot. And so I don't even watch the news. I thought that it's, sometimes they go too far. They should be more sensitive to people that care about. That wasn't just any young man. That was my son. That was my baby. And I didn't appreciate what they put on the news. And then for them to continue to play it over and over again, that's not fair.
From a media perspective, Doug, think about that. The fact that our job is to give the news. What's your thought about that?
Well, I mean, to be sensitive to Tracy, to what she said, that's how she feels, and I think that should be respected. You never really get over it. You do the best you can, but to constantly see it on the news, and it's more of how they say it and what they're presenting, more than anything else. It's true. It's real. It's a feeling, and I think that should be respected.
I'm going to try my best to create some dialogue from you that's watching us. So my response probably appeared to be insensitive, but I was trying to state a point because the Bowden family know I'm very close to them. So when I received a call regarding her son being shot, talking about Kiera, right?
Yes.
Right? Kiera being shot. Later on, after service was over in church and getting ready for this, she asked me People know who shot him. Even he probably know who shot him. What should we do? And my response was, welcome to Tracy's world. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, if we don't address this issue, there will be another Tracy at this table. And that's not being a prophet of doom. Definitely going to be another Kara at the table, because we have not grabbed a hold to what's happening. And City of Battle Creek, I'm not going to say we don't care, but I'm going to say that it's up to us to stop this public health crisis. And until there is a tipping point, like we did with cancer and opium, I mean, we address those issues quickly. Everyone knows someone who has been diagnosed with cancer. That's why we care enough about solving the problems of cancer. Everyone knows about who has had overdose with opium. And so guess what? We deal with it. It's a crisis. But it seems like with this shooting, it hasn't become a crisis yet. So how many Karas and how many Tracys? Yes, I get those who are watching now, the Rosettas and Miss Bonnie and my Aunt Diane and so many more. I mean, I think we need to get the T-shirts back out and give me that list again. I really want that list all over again, because I was gone when y'all produced that list. So we can start back having this dialogue again, because we're going to add more to that list if we do not begin to address this issue as a community. So let me tell you what I did. When I heard about Kiera being shot, my first question is, Kara, I want you to tell me how we can talk about this, DJ, Deacon, Tracy. From our community perspective, we say we got to give people opportunities. Give them opportunities and they won't mess up. Give them jobs and they won't mess up. Give them a dream and they won't mess up. And I think what I want to do is I want to bring these young men on the show. If you have any influence over your sons, your relatives that's out there, whether they're victims or were involved, I would love for them to come on the show, because I want to ask the question. Kiera was a young man that came to our church right out of his situation in the jail, and he was at, what's the name of the facility he was in? K-PAC. He was in K-PAC, and he came out, and we got him a job, and we got him, on his feet, and right after he got released from his, what you call the thing on your ankle? Tether. He just went back out. I want to know why we do that. Before we start talking about the City of Battle Creek, and we start talking about how we're going to address these murder crimes, if you want to respond, DJ's right there. I want to hear from Kara. Kara, you know what we tried to do with your son, and you know the time we spent. What is it that you think caused those young boys to want to still go back out in the streets? As a mom, why do you think we do that?
Well, for my son, I think because he was still hanging around the same crowd that he was hanging around with when he got into trouble, and they were out there making the fast money and stuff like that. I just feel that giving him a job at the church was just too much for him, too many responsibilities for him, because he's really never had it. He's only worked at a couple of jobs here and there. And then, you gave him that opportunity. And once he got off Tether, he was just wanting to be with other people.
So there's no responsibility in the streets? Being a little small rookie drug dealer? Is the DJ, Doug, and you got any knowledge about that? Tracy? I mean, anybody that's listened to me, all these rookie drug dealers, I don't know who the big chiefs are, but is there responsibility? Is it that easy? I really want to know, because I'm trying to find the root of this problem. Because if every community, every church, every organization come together and try to give these brothers good job, will that stop the game? And I'm not talking about minimum wage. I'm talking about a nice amount of money to take care of their families. Please respond. Somebody say something. Do you think that will fix the problem? If not, why do we continue to stay in the game? I need to know an answer from that. If somebody can help me with that, that'd be great.
Well, Bishop, I don't know if I don't think it will completely stop it, but I think it will help minimize the risk of guys being out there wanting to, sell drugs. We live in a visual society, and people see the nice cars and the nice things and the fast cash. I mean, everybody wants fast money, and they want it now, and they want it yesterday. So, maybe giving them a good job would help deter some young men from doing wrong. But I don't think it will completely get rid of it, but I think it will help minimize the risk of a lot of young men going back out there on the streets and doing bad.
So, we buried Joe Bowser. I did the eulogy. We go to the cemetery. I see all these kids, all these young men crying, grieving, remorseful, oh wow, and Kiera was one of the only ones that stayed close to you. He was the one that came to you more than any other friends, if anybody. And how much I love Joe. And so I'm telling him, but if you love Joe and you love Tracy, of course your mother and your father, then why go back out? I'm at loss. I really need some help with that. Tracy, what your thought was that? You know Kier. You know you talk to him quite often. Matter of fact, share how the fact that he's the only one that have kind of communicated with you since this happened with little Joe.
And when I talked to Kier this morning at church, I addressed him as one of Joe's peers. I feel like Kier is one of his friends. The rest are peers. They're not his friends. They were never his friends. I would not address them. They have not come to see me. They have not called me. They have not checked on my daughters. No one. Kier checks on me on a daily basis, asks me, do I need anything? He texts me very often. He just texted me, I think Thursday, told me he'd be at church. And when he talked to me today on his crutches, he said, I told you I was going to be at church. He's there. And I think that you still have to have some sort of responsibility. I know that when they are out there doing their drugs or selling drugs in the streets, there are some responsibilities that they have. So they have to have their product be out there selling it or whatever they're doing. So there are some responsibilities there. And I think that they have to change their mindset that that's not what they want to do. They want more for themselves.
Well, I want everybody to know that we are dangerously close to the moment in time when every one of us will know someone who has been shot if we're not there. I'm telling you, we're getting to the place, and this is not being a prophet of doom, but we're getting to the place where most of us will know someone who's been shot. We're going to hope it won't be someone who was killed, because the town is too small. It's only 55,000 people, 5,000 African Americans. We're at a point where everybody, and what happens in a society is when we don't address something, we become immune to it. Before you know it, we become comfortable with it. And I heard the chief of police say, well, it was the Joe Bowser case that kind of took it to the next level. It shouldn't have been the Joe Bowser case. It should have been the one that was killed. But because of the fact that we're still pushing, we're still fighting for this. But that's what we have to do as a community. And that's our challenge. That's my concern. That's the parents' concern. Because until it becomes personal. I mean, Kara actually said, what do we do now? Now, this is what Tracy been asking all day. But now, Kara has to ask that question. Who's next? Who's going to call me next? Now, they go to my church, so that's not a problem. But who's next? We're going to have to do something. DJ, what's going to happen when one of your relatives get a phone call and somebody got shot? Then what? What's going to wake us up?
Good question.
I mean, it's serious. We have to get to the point where we realize until gun violence impact families directly, you won't care enough to do something about it. Say, well, Bishop, Has it impacted you violently? No. No, my first cousin was killed years ago, and that was a major blow on my family. But right now it's because Tracy and Joseph and Alexia and India are dear people to me, dear family members, dear church members. But what's going to happen next? So I guess when you heard about the shooting that's still taking place, and you're still grieving, Tracy, about your own son,
Yeah.
how are you dealing with that? Forget about not just Kiera, but other shootings. There's still been other shootings since Joe. What's your take on that? What happens to you when you hear about that?
I hate to hear about it, especially Kier, somebody that I care about and I love. It takes my breath away. It's always like, is somebody else going to feel the way I feel? Is another mother going to bury her child? And it's like, it's senseless. No one deserves to leave this earth until it's their time. And that's the way I feel every time I hear. That's why I stopped watching the news. I can't even watch the news. I can't even turn on the news anymore.
And I like what Tracy just said, until their time. Because a lot of us have this misnomer that, it was God's will, it was God's plan. The Bible clearly says, why die before your time? And that's a fact. People die, the Bible says, because of our foolishness and our poor choices. So we've already learned that arguing about the problem doesn't change anything. Instead, we need a different approach, looking toward a solution. So last week, Tracy, you and I and different members of the community came together, and it was spearheaded by our city commissioner, Mrs. Gray. It was entitled,
Can I get a witness?
Can I get a witness? Can I get a witness? Can I get a witness? And we went to three events. One is held with Pastor McCoy. One was already held with Pastor
Is it Talbert?
Talbert, and then it's going to be at Second Baptist, Pastor Wine. So we went to the one that was held with Pastor McCoy. Tracy, when you heard about it, when you were invited, tell me how you heard about it. What was your take on it? And did you, what'd you get out of it? Was there some kind of solution? How did you take that event? And what would you suggest we do differently or do more of?
Okay, well, first of all, I wasn't invited. I just found out about it on, someone told me, word of mouth, basically. And when I heard the name, can I get a witness? And I'm like, okay, what is this going to be about? And so when we get there, the police chief was like one of the first speakers, and he talked about gang violence, shootings in the city, different areas, and I just totally tuned it out. I felt like that really, if you were saying, can I get a witness, what was gang violence or different parts of the city where shootings go and statistics, that wasn't helping me. That wasn't gonna help me feel safe or know that they're really working on something for my son. So I like I said, most of it I just tuned out. I think that if you really want to call it, can I get a witness, then you need to be out in the community where, if you really want to witness. The people that were there, I don't think they were witnesses to any crimes. I need someone to come forward so I can have justice for my child. So me sitting around and somebody talking about what's going on in the city as far as gang violence, as far as where crimes take place on different sides of the city, that had nothing to do with me seeking justice for my child. But they sure were able to, use my son's picture, and they didn't have permission for that either. So I really feel like kind of disrespected on that level. And as far as the whole theme, can I get a witness, it just didn't sit well with me.
So, Kara, you called me and mentioned to me that people, they know who shot your son.
Yes.
Is that your understanding?
Yes.
Now, how do you know that they know who shot your son?
Well, because my brother is friends with like a lot of people on different sides of towns. And then they knew Kier was my brother's nephew, and so they came back and told him.
They came back and told your brother, nephew. So your brother is the uncle to your son.
Correct.
So the uncle know who shot his nephew.
Yes. And I think my son knows too. He just doesn't want to say anything.
So now we're going back to what the prosecutor said at the city hall. He made the comment that even relatives won't always confess. Anybody online that's going to talk to me, tell me something? Do y'all want it? Community members, can we get together? Can we figure out what is taking place? Because I heard someone say something that I think was very, very good. I heard on the radio that many people know each other, they're relatives, and they're just not going to say anything. That's just the way it is. Anybody saying something, DJ?
Yes, there's Rochelle made a comment. She's saying, are guns or weapons the problem, or have our children lost all respect for life and how meaningful their lives are to us?
That's a good question. Have we lost the value of life? Have we, now, older generation, I'm talking to you. Parents, I'm talking to you. Have we lost the value of life? Does life even matters anymore? I mean, I'm being honest, I don't want to take a bullet. No, Lordy, I didn't want to take a whooping. Now I'm going to take a bullet. I don't get it. And it's like you get a bullet, and now you got some kind of honor because you've been shot. You know, got a little dot on your eye. Okay. So.
Now, Bishop, Damon Ogletree says, Bishop, challenge Kier to change his life, and let's see what happens. He can be a good person. He just has to realize the streets don't love him. And I believe you've already reached out to do that. So I guess to help Kier, because you look at Kier as like a son, a spiritual son. You're going to take him under your wing. So at this point now, I guess my question would be, what's next? Like you said, if he doesn't give in to the love and what we're trying to do for him, what you're trying to do for him, where does he go from here? What do you do for him now? Do you just let him go? Do you continue to fight for him? Sometimes people have to experience things on their own to make them change, you know. But we don't want that to happen, because then the most devastating thing happens. They end up getting killed, you know. So I would guess I was just kind of answering Damon's response.
And thank you, Damon. And not just that, we won't just challenge Kier. We'll challenge any young man, any parent that has some authority. Allow us. We want to challenge to bring your young men to see us. Bring your young men to see us. We need your help, but we'll do everything we can to try to help them. We already know you need money. We got it. But they got to be willing to say, I want to try. There's some things that we got to stop doing in the community. For an example, all of us that know, witnesses, I'm offended. I'm for sure Tracy's offended. Now Kara's offended. And anybody else, tweeting, saying prayers for the victim does not equal helping a solution. So we get on tweet and we start tweeting, oh, prayer for the Bowser family. Well, how can you tweet prayer for the Bowser family and you know who shot him? Prayer for the Bolden. We got to, see, we're so used to just doing stuff by natural inclination, but not dealing with the fact that people are looking for solutions. Feeling bad for a day or two does not equal helping with a solution. Because that's what we do. The only reason why Joe is in the forefront, because we still care. But if we would have just moved on, it would have just been another story. It's not like the city is constantly doing it.
No.
Come on, community, Battle Creek, I'm talking to you. What you got?
Just a lot of people are commenting. I'm going to read one of Terrence Todd's comments. Terrence Todd said the family structure has changed drastically over the years, which is also a correlation of what we're experiencing.
I agree. Family structure has changed, and Terrence, we have to try to, the next generation, this generation is what it is. But that next generation, but if these fathers get shot in the streets and they already have babies, we just repeat the cycle. If these young men are getting shot and killed in the streets, then that child is now being raised by their mother or their grandmother. And we're still continuing the cycle. But I do agree with you. We have change in your Facebook profile, showing the photos of the victims. That's nice, but that does not equal solutions. I really need everybody who's doing those things, join us and help us get back in the streets and say, look, you know who shot Kiera. You know who shot Joe. You know who shot Bam. You know who shot Maurice. You know who shot so-and-so. You got to do more than just wearing the T-shirts. Would you not agree?
I totally agree. Because I haven't really been on Facebook, social media, because it's just too much and it's a lot of fakeness in my eyes. You're putting my son's picture on your profile, but you haven't called me to say, you know, are you okay today? Do you need a cup of coffee? Can we, you know, sit here and cry with you and talk to you today? Nothing, but you want to, you know, someone glorifying that my son's picture. Yeah, he's a nice looking man. But that doesn't mean that's okay for you just to put his picture on there. Let's get together and find a way to find out who did this to him. That's what I want.
Amen.
Caring requires us to commit to solving the problem. That's why we're here. I'm not here for any other reason. I care enough. I want to solve the problem, and we're going to need the city of Battle Creek to care as much. We want to, let's join in to what Miss Gray is doing, but besides that, we got to do other things. We really must get involved. The fact is, we have a serious problem in Battle Creek with gun violence. It is now July, about to hit August. And now we have another one just been shot, and there's a good chance someone else going to get shot, and again, until it hits you. And then you're ready to do something. We have to do it as if it was our own loved one. So, Carol, you know, in this situation now, and your son did live, thank God for that. What is your recommendation? What you gonna try to do differently, or what are you seeking? No, matter of fact, what are you seeking? Are you trying to find out the person who shot your son, knowing your son may already know?
Yes, I am. And as soon as I get the person who did it, I will actually be the one what they call snitching, because that person does not need to be on the streets.
What if that person is his buddy?
Then it's his buddy. It wasn't his buddy when he shot him, so.
It's not his buddy.
So your brother knows, and other folks knows. So I guess there's this game, y'all, that we just don't supposed to snitch. How much of this snitching thing has to do with the fact that, do you think people are really afraid that if they snitch, somebody gonna come after them?
No. I don't think that's it. I think it's just some kind of silent code. You don't tell. Nobody wants to be labeled as a snitch. And that's just a false mentality. It's a false mindset. But no, I really don't believe it's that they think that they're going to be retaliated against. I don't think that is. I mean, we've got there's gangs in Battle Creek, but ain't no gangsters. I mean, ain't nobody putting no hits on nobody snitching. That's just the mindset of these young people, and a lot of people have already said it, that have almost lost respect for life. You know, they really don't have any respect for life. You know, what else could it be?
The code of silence, you know, in the neighborhood, as you say, we've heard brothers and cousins and relatives and uncles refuse to identify the shooters. I'm not sure about that code. I'm not sure what that really stands for. But you know, years ago, if my parents saw one of my peers doing something, she would call and tell the mother. that was the time we lived in. There was a time when my friend, mother, would call on me if I was somewhere I shouldn't have been. How you think we lost that? Whether it's Tracy, whether it's Kara, whether it's DJ, how you think we lost that? I mean, y'all younger than we are, but you still old enough to remember those things, Tracy. What happened to that? There was a time when the parents talked to each other. When was the last time you had a conversation way before Joe? When did you stop hanging with your peers that had children your age? And how that happened?
Well, I don't think that really happened with me. I think it goes back a lot to the family structure, like Terrence said, and it seems to be a lot of drama, a lot of things on social media, where the adults aren't even acting like adults. They're into it like with the kids and things like that. But Kara and I have always had a relationship. Our kids have been friends since they were probably like 9 years old. And her and I always communicated. So I did not have that issue with my child.
What about you, Kara? Do you have do you have friends that have children your age besides Tracy? And did y'all stay in contact with each other?
Well, I have friends that children are the same ages as my kids, but we did not stay in contact at all.
Just went to different directions, different
Yes.
paths of life.
I stayed here in Michigan and they moved out.
Okay. All right. So do you think that's a solution, DJ, Doug, Deacon, that as the parents, we need to go back to having those conversations again, having those dialogues again? I mean, do you think, what it sounds like to me is a lot of friends are shooting friends. Cousins are shooting cousins. Relatives are shooting relatives. It's not like they're enemies. They may become enemies in the streets. Mm-hmm. But when you look at that person, I guarantee you we know them. Mm-hmm. So what is that? What is that? What you think is, it's not like some outsider from another country came over to Battle Creek and shot our own people.
Right.
It's people that we knew.
Right. I think it would help for parents to get back involved mentally and get in your kid's head. I think that's a start. And I don't think a lot of parents purposely ignored their kids. I think as times changed and as they try to make ends meet and try to keep up with the Joneses, you get caught up in your life. You get caught up in things you're doing. Yeah, and, I remember back in the day, you can get a job at Kellogg's or Post, and work 30 years. Well, those jobs are gone. And now the pressure is for these kids to get an education, and maybe some of these kids don't think they're good enough to go to school or don't think they can make it, So the only thing they turn to is what's in the streets, So maybe it's an insecurity that's there. But I think it all still goes back to, the parents at some point, we missed it, and it doesn't have to be on purpose. And it may not have been their fault, but somewhere we got derailed and we missed it.
Okay, well listen, I'm not sure how many is following us right this second, but I'm going to give y'all some solutions. This is what we're planning on doing. At this present moment, we are actually, India is going to be coming back in town, not sure how long, but she's going to be coming back in town, Joseph's older sister. We're putting together a office at the campus. And what our goal is, we're going to create a website. If you recall, when we went to the city hall, we did request a website, and we did not get a response. Lynn Ward Gray, she did respond by having a
Can I get a witness
Can
form?
I get a witness form? But the city did not respond to the website. So we're going to go ahead and create a website. Now let's make this a community effort. If you know of people that know how to do a website, okay, we will cover the cost. But if you know how to do websites, I need you all to inbox me and let me know, or just email us at Kingdom Builders Worldwide. We want to establish a website. Also, I'm looking for every single mother or father that lost their son or daughter in a violent crime and is now almost a cold case. We know it's on your t-shirts. We want to bring all those names back if it's okay with you, and a picture. We want to create a new website. Hopefully the city would take it on after we started. Sometimes we have to push things to get people to jump on the bandwagon. So that's coming up very soon. Also, we're planning on having a telethon. If you all remember the Jerry Lewis telethon that was always on Memorial Weekend? Every Memorial Weekend, he would do his telethon all night and raise money. Why? Because right now, we have about $2,000 in the fund.
Yes.
We have $2,000 in the fund. Our goal is to raise $8,000. We want to have $10,000 because I'm believing that 10,000 should get people to start talking. Now, why are we doing this? Because if we can solve Joe's situation, then guess what? I think we can start solving other people. We want to become part of the solution. I don't want another parent to call and say, my son just been killed, my daughter's been killed, and nothing's gonna happen, and then they go through these forms of depression, and now we're just repeating the cycle, and they're just trying to survive. It's our goal. But community, I need your support. I need you to be a part. So if you have any interest in this, if you have any desire in this, and do like the Bible said, don't wait until it happened to you. Love people enough that you would do for other people as you would have them do unto you. That's the first principle of what life is all about. It's not so much about you. If you help enough people get what they want, then there's a law of life where things will come back to you. So I want to now just allow Tracy Tracy, just now give us some whole feedback on how your world has shifted in 4 months. How your world has, you one day was in Lansing, Michigan, and you were doing well, and you were working, and you were, getting into some other things from a counseling base, and then at the Clear Blue Sky, you get this phone call. Unfortunately, I had to give her the call, and it was crazy just to be able to deal with what happened. As you all know, he was working at the church, and so when the news came, so Tracy, take me from that day to where you at now, because people need to hear, and we're grateful that Kara can bring her son home, okay? But you didn't bring your son home. Let's hear your story.
Well, there was a Saturday morning that I got the call, but that Friday evening I had went out with some of my friends to dinner, having a nice time, laughing, talking. Before I went to bed, I had talked to one of my friends on the phone and said I would be in Battle Creek that next week. I go to sleep like normal. I wake up and I get that call. And my world came crashing down. It was like it ended that day, that moment. And I really didn't know what to do. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I couldn't get air. I couldn't walk. I couldn't stand up. I couldn't lay down. I couldn't do anything. And but I knew I had to get to Battle Creek to my child. So my parents had my cousin Johnny Cummings came and picked us up because my parents couldn't drive, and they were screaming in the house. Both my parents screaming, hollering, no, no, no. So on the way to Battle Creek, I laid my head down in a pillow and cried the whole way here in disbelief. I got to the scene. Bishop came and embraced me. I could not go all the way to the scene because I could not bear to know that somebody had did that to my child. He was no longer here with me. And I just didn't know what to do. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I still feel that way to this day. I haven't went back to my job. I had a second interview for I work for the Lansing School District. I had a second interview. I was supposed to be, working in administration. I had to call them and let them know I can't do it. I can't do it. So I have not been working. I can't work. My background is in counseling psychology. I can't do any counseling right now because I need so much myself. It's not even in me. I can't even help anybody because I can't help myself. So my career, I feel like right now is non-existent. I think about my son from the second I wake up to the second I go to sleep. I cry myself to sleep and I wake up with tears in my eyes. I cry in my sleep because when I wake up, there's things on my face and I know that I've been crying. My world has ended. I try to move on. I try to, wake up every day and take one step, but that's about it. That's about all I can do. That's all I have. But I am seeking justice for my son because before, at his funeral, I kissed him on his forehead and I told him I was going to fight for him. And I would do that with every breath in my body for my child, for my baby.
And I think right now Tracy is becoming an advocate in her own right. She may not know it. She even gave comforting words and wise words to Kiera at church today, and even to her mom. The reality is we're at a point in life where we're going to have to deal with the fact that her life will never be the same again. It's never going to be the same again, period, okay? And so when you make those posts and you say you care, we really need you to come. Let's even if there's a, can we create that relationship? Listen, you did it. I'm for sure I'm in a position where I can make an arrangement with the police department. I believe I can do that. And you really want to just come to me in secret, and you really want to just say, hey, I did it, and you want to confess it, I'm for sure at this point we can work something out with you. We can't promise you that your sentencing will be, we can't, but I'm for sure just coming through all that we're trying to do, through the conversation. I mean, hey, Tracy is very, very hurt. Alexia is very, very hurt. India is very, very hurt. Joe, Big Joe, very, very hurt. However, I'm telling you, they can get some closure. If they can get some closure, and I believe they're also now in the position that it's going to take some time, but I think they're in a key position now that they even can give you mercy. You can't walk away free, but I believe they can give you some mercy. But right now, we just need you. And I know somebody said, oh, Bishop, that's crazy. No one's going to do that. Well, we don't know if we're going to try, because you're out there eating yourself alive. You took a life, and it has to be eating you up. It's a psychological fact that when you take a life, you start to die from within. And now while Tracy's dying, we're asking God to revive her, while her children and her the daddy. So we're asking you, we're not going to stop. We're going to continue, but we need you to help us solve this case. And also those who are aware of who shot Kiera, we need you. What is it again? Kier. We need you to come clean, y'all, because we're at a point now that our black community is looking bad. I fight for us, and we talk about pride and blackness and making us become one. But look at us, y'all. I mean, we're shooting each other. If we be really honest here, the one that shot Joe, good chest, was a black guy. The one that shot Kier was a black guy. Hello? Come on, y'all, talk to me. What they said, DJ?
A lot of comments, a lot of people commenting. It's a little
Listen,
difficult
if
to keep
y'all
up with
not allowed
everybody.
to come back because DJ's been stingy, I'm asking him to let y'all say something.
Okay,
And he's
but
been stingy.
there's a lot of comments. One thing that people want to know is what could they do to help?
Thank you, y'all. DJ, let's hear these people. Who talking, man?
That's Stacy Spivey. Ogletree.
Okay.
Wants to know, what she can do to help. Like I said, the comments are coming in, so I'm just trying to keep up with them. And
Well, just say one.
Okay, let me go back here.
You got me thinking
One person says, fathers need to be real fathers, and mothers need to be real mothers, and not their friends. Children must know when you do something wrong that there's a consequence. and for it, parents need to stand by their decisions for their punishments for that child, and not give in to them because they're good for 15, 20 minutes or a half an hour, or just because they're good for that day. And it goes back to, when I was growing up, we got beat. We got whoopings. I mean, my parents, when you acted out, you had marks on your legs from a belt. Okay, we've kind of evolved from that now. Now you can't do that to your kids. But I do want to say to young mothers now, when your kids are in elementary school, those are very important nurturing years. Whoop their butt when it's necessary. You spare the rod, you spoil the child. I guarantee you it will help them in the future. But you cannot condone or let your kids get away with things they shouldn't get away with, and you're enabling them. Get on them early. It will help them in the future.
Well, let me answer, I think, Stacy, how she can help. Not just you, Stacy, but anyone that's listening. If I can get some men, fathers, let's say 45 and up. Not to say anybody younger can't help. If I can get some men, 45 and up, to make a commitment that we can meet once a week and we become like a big brother again. Let's create that whole old school thing. Men, 45 and up. Can I give him some 45, maybe 40? How old are you? I'm sorry, you're supposed to ask. 40? Yeah, you old. I'm sorry. You're my wife. Ooh, you old. I forgot. Yeah. What I'm thinking, you're old. Let's say 40. Let's say 40. 40 and up. If I can get some men, if we can just agree, men, from 40 and up, that we start meeting together, should start creating dialogue. Doesn't have to have anything to do with one's religion, one's belief. Just start being concerned about our community. And then my goal will be one day that group of men will start walking the streets. Can we start doing that again? Let's start walking the streets again, where we can start going around and let them see us. We're not going on the banner of a church. We're not going on the banner of an organization. We're going as a banner of black men that we may admit that we failed our children, okay? So I'm not looking for 40-year-olds that's perfect, 35, 50 that's perfect, just enough men that's willing to walk the streets of Battle Creek with us and just let these young brothers know, hey, we're here. We may have failed you in the past, but we're here so we can help somebody else. That is very, very important. So let's see if we can do that again. You can just give me some thumbs up even now, because if we're going to fix our problem, it's going to take something of that mass. And we're not looking for media. We're not looking for paper. But the reality is, let's start doing. Where did this shooting take place at, Kara? Oneida?
Yes.
So Oneida, I don't even know who live in that area. I want to go by that area. I want to see who's in that neighborhood. Oneida. Is that by Dudley School?
Close.
Is that Dudley, DJ?
Oneida runs from, what is it?
Greenwood
From
to-
Goodale all the way to Greenwood, I think it is. Yeah.
Oh, by Dudley then.
Mm-hmm.
So, and is that probably where the shooting took place? Is that a gambling house over there?
I'm not sure.
What? You don't
You
know?
look at me like I'm supposed to know.
You should know your
know.
community. You should know your community.
I grew up on Oneida Street, but
Oh, not anymore. You should know your community, Deacon.
you should too, Bishop.
I'm trying my best to know that. You're busy and lazy. Okay, so we're going to do everything we can to try to know what's going on in our community. We got about 7 minutes left. I'm going to let you go last. Give me some last powerful words, Deacon. Then I'm going to have you, Kara, powerful words, and then you, Tracy, and then I'll close it out.
I just like to say, we need to come together as a community. We can do a bunch of talking and a bunch of praying, but we need action. We need to come together and figure out how to fix this problem, or at least, like I said earlier, minimize the risk.
Well, I just think as a community with the young boys, we need to get them all together if we can, help them, guide them, give them some great positive example, role models that they can look up to, especially my son, he needs it. because he really didn't have it. But I'm not giving that an excuse or making that an excuse for him, but I think if it starts with him and he can get his other friends involved, and I think we can help our young men.
Okay. Tracy?
And like Deacon Jones said, we need some solutions. That's what I'm here for. People talking or us having these meetings, it's not helping me get better. It's not helping me get to the next level. And I am here seeking justice for my son. As far as someone knows who did this to Joe, I want someone to come forward. It should be on their conscience, like Bishop said. They're dying inside, and so am I. And, can I get a witness or whatever, snitching? I really don't consider that snitching. That's helping other families. That will help me rest. That will help my daughters rest. Big Joe, my mother. My mother cries herself to sleep about her grandchild every night. And someone else is walking these streets knowing that they did that to my child. Somebody's mother is with their son. They can hug their son. They can see their son. I can't see mine anymore. So I need some answers.
Well, you have to, instead of saying, I'm what's it called again, witness?
Yeah, can I get a witness?
It's no longer, can I get a witness? We're changing it now to, can I get a detective? All right? That's our new slogan now. So the slogan has been changed from this day forward. Can I get a detective? I'm asking everyone that is watching this video screen, just type that in for me. Can I get a detective? There's only one detective in the city of Battle Creek to deal with the case. Let's say that's your child. Let's say that's your son. Let's say that's your daughter. You know what? That will hurt you. So please join me today by just typing it in, hashtag, can I get a detective? Or can I get another detective? Hashtag, can I get? So all members of the church, do that for me right now. Hashtag, I'm learning the new stuff. Can I get another detective? Do that for me right now, please, please, please. Hashtag, can I get another detective? One is not enough to fix the problem. I always close the broadcast by giving honor to my ancestors, which is my great, not as in generation, but I love him to death. My father, Hugh Daniel Smith Sr., and his mother, my grandmother, Gussie Smith, and my grandfather, who I'm named after, Edward West Smith. I love them. And on my mom's side, the late Leodell Perry and Ruby Elizabeth Perry, and of course my beloved mom, who is alive and well, who I love dearly, Georgia Lee Howard Perry. Listen, y'all, as the children of Issachar understood the time, we must know what time it is. It's time to work together so a change may come. At this time, we're going to pray like we always do in the broadcast. Father, we thank you today for your day, your love, your kindness. I ask that you will bless Sister Tracy in a way that she's never been blessed before. Allow her to sleep. Bless Kara, God. And we celebrate that you allow that young man to live. God, thank you for the audience that's watched us. Again, hashtag, can I get another detective? This is our prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.